All right, everybody. We are now live. Hello, welcome. Just making sure that we've
I'm making sure too.
got everything working. Perfect. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Dominga No. I am the marketing manager of the Marfan Foundation, and I want to welcome you all to this amazing panel and just give you a quick heads up. We have Eileen joining us in the chat today, so if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to her. Eileen, say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody. I'll be in there. I'll be posting the links that they talk about through this session, and you won't see me anymore. I'm not a teen. Have a great session.
All right, and so I'm not a teen either, but you'll be seeing a little bit of me while I get a few housekeeping announcements out of the way. We are thrilled to have you participate in the International E3 Summit, educating, empowering, and enriching our community, brought to you by the Marfan Foundation, as well as our divisions, the Loeys-Dietz Syndrome Foundation and the VEDS movement, along with our partners in Europe at the CERN. We are grateful to our presenting sponsors, Brigham and Women's Hospital and American Communication Construction. But before we start the presentation, I'm going to let you know that the International E3 Summit is a forum to provide an open discussion of issues related to the genetic aortic vascular conditions. Opinions stated in this and each of our talks are those of the speakers and not necessarily those of the Marfan Foundation or the CERN. So today we are fortunate to have some amazing panelists here, and I'm going to start it off with introducing you to Peter Donato. Take it away, Peter.
Hi everyone, my name is Peter Donato. I'm from just outside Boston. I have Loeys-Dietz, and for the foundation, I am the teen group leader. I run the teen group at conferences, and I've also been running the online programs that we've been running this summer for the teens, the Teen Talk, the Teen Game Night, and all sorts of that. And welcome to the forum.
Great. And then I'm also going to kick it off to our amazing moderator, Ben, but just one quick announcement before that. This whole presentation is going to be a Q&A, so please, to give us more content, please feel free to send your questions into the Q&A section of the chat, and we will do our best to answer as many questions as we can in our time allotment. Please try to ask your questions without giving too much personal details, because we want to make sure that we can keep the answers as broad as possible. Then also, just bear in mind, while our panelists are absolutely brilliant, they are, in fact, they don't have medical licenses and they didn't go to medical school. So keep your questions to their personal experiences and less on the technical side. We have plenty of presentations available for you if you have more technical questions regarding the medical details of various aspects of chronic conditions. So now I'm going to pass it over to our moderator, Ben Weisman.
Great. Well, thank you, Dominga. It is so great. I almost said it's so great to see all of you, but in my mind, I can see you all in my mind, and it's so great to have you all here. I am not a teen either. You may be confused by my youthful appearance, but I am not a teen. I am in my late 30s. I have Marfan syndrome. Just a bit about me, so I'm not just some crazy bearded fella talking to you. I was born with Marfan syndrome. I'm a third generation in my family. My grandfather had it. My mother, who is here, hi mom, she had it. And of course, I have it as well. You know, my journey with Marfan syndrome has been certainly a roundabout one. I wore a back brace for a number of years. After no longer having to wear the back brace and switching schools, I made the conscious decision that nobody would ever know I had Marfan syndrome. I was ashamed of it. It felt like it was holding me back. And I was really successful in that for about 18 months or so. Through a series of events, I began to tell people a little bit more about having Marfan syndrome, including finding the Marfan Foundation and our annual conference, and some of just the amazing people who make up this organization. Since then, I have held a number of roles with the foundation, including a teen group leader, which Peter is now going to put me to shame in how well he was going to do on it, but I'll do my best. I did my best at the time. I served on the foundation's board of directors for about a decade. I'm currently working to start a young professionals group with Marfan, folks with Marfan syndrome and related conditions. And I'm involved in a couple of other projects with the foundation. You know, it's amazing the journey, what Marfan syndrome, the opportunities it's opened, the doors it's opened, including one of the most amazing doors for me are the people I've gotten to meet, people like Dominga and Peter, and like our four amazing team panelists we have with us today. So what I'm going to do is ask each of them to introduce themselves individually and tell us a little bit about themselves. And then we will jump right into questions, because quite frankly, you don't want to hear from me. You want to hear from these four amazing people. Trust me on that. So Sam, why don't we kick it off with you? And again, thank you all so very much for joining us and for being a part of this community. It's really quite appreciated. Sam, it's all yours, my friend.
Yeah, hello everybody. My name is Sam Woodhouse. I am from Rogers, Arkansas. I am 18 years old. I am a member of the Marfan Teen Council and have been for the past couple of years. And I've been going to conferences for a while now, so this is my favorite part of doing this, talking to some adults that have questions.
Great, thank you very much, Sam, and you know, your leadership of the Teen Council as well. It's an incredible group that I think we'll probably talk a little bit more about. Cade, why don't you introduce yourself for us?
All right. Hello, all you beautiful people. My name is Cade, and I am 17 years old, and I do have the syndrome. So, anything else I need to say?
No, I think that's great. Thank you. Great. And
Welcome.
Grace.
Hello, everybody. I'm Grace Barnhart. I am super excited to be here. I have Marfan syndrome. It was genetically passed on to me from my dad, Bill Barnhart, and I started Marfan Friends about 4 or 5 years ago now, which is a project where I send care packages called friend packs to kids in the hospital and other conditions who are like recovering from a surgery or just a hospital trip or anything. So I spread lots of awareness with that and try to spread some positivity in hard times. I've had one eye surgery and I deal with pretty chronic pain. So if you guys have any questions about chronic pain, I'm your girl.
Great. Thank you very much, Grace. And before I introduce Alexis, because I'm a huge sports fan, I can't really, I see the Ravens banner, I just have to hold up my Patriots helmet.
Yes, sir.
Toss it to you.
Hi guys, my name's Alexis Davis. I am 16 years old and I live in Fruitland, Maryland. I have Loeys-Dietz syndrome, type 2. And yeah, I'm a high school student. I'm going to be a junior this year. And that's pretty much it. And I'm a Ravens fan, so
That's right. Well, no
obviously
one's perfect.
by the fan. The little flag back there, but yeah.
Oh,
Great.
I'm 16 and I live in Virginia, Northern Virginia. I forgot to add those.
Awesome. Yeah. So as you can see, I mean, we have four just amazing folks here to answer all of our questions. And, you know, representation, Marfan, Loeys-Dietz, VEDS. And just again, I want to thank the four of you for agreeing to do this. And I want to thank each and every one of you who I can't see for being a part of this session. So I think we'll just jump right in. Most of our questions have come so far from parents, but we do have one from a teen with Marfan's who's wondering how you cope with it in the right way, dealing with any depression or other challenges that you may have faced. If you have any tips for how you've coped with having Marfan syndrome or VEDS or Loeys-Dietz, would love to hear that.
I would say that I deal with a lot of chronic pain. So like there have definitely been times where like I want to go do something with friends, but I'm just not in good enough shape to do that. But like I know yesterday I was having just some like pain and like stuff like that. And all I wanted to do was lay in bed. And it makes me sad sometimes just because you want to go out and do these things, but you do have to remember that your safety does come first, but you also do want to go like live your life to the fullest. So I would say make sure you have a really good support system. I have very good friends that know about my condition, just so that they know if, hey, we plan something and then I don't feel good, they know. And I would also just say awareness is very important, and you'll hear me say that a lot through this. If you know about your condition and you know your limits, I feel like that helps, just because that way you know how you're feeling and you're like, okay, I might not feel good all the time, but when I'm doing okay, I'll go do something, or just, getting out of bed really helps. So, I mean, it's different for everybody, but that's what I do.
I think that support system is so critical, and making sure you have people around you who you can talk to and lean on, because we all feel that way at times. We all have that. Does anyone else want to weigh in on that?
I was just gonna say, I like to keep busy, honestly, because I mean, I have a million different hobbies, and I typically I don't know, whether I'm bored or whether anything else, I love keeping busy. And if you can find a couple things that you really enjoy doing, it doesn't necessarily have to be you going out or doing anything like that, but things you can do at home. I love to cook and I sew and I do all these other things. So if you can find something that you like to do and you enjoy doing, then it makes everything a whole bunch better.
Well, let's stay on this theme, and I would love to hear from you all about how you've coped, or what are the ways you've coped with not getting to do the same kinds of physical activities that maybe some of your friends get to do. What's some coping or some tips that you may have around that? What are things you found that you do love to do?
I mean, personally, for a little bit, I did, although it's not a contact sport, I did tennis for a little bit. So that was kind of interesting, and it depends on your limitations and what you can do and everything like that. But aside from that, I lead a pretty normal life. I hang out with friends, I do stuff like that, and I try to live as normally as possible. So yeah.
Yeah, I was a cheerleader for about 9 years. And then I'd always wanted to be a high school cheerleader and all that. And over time it was just it could be really dangerous. So I did have to quit right before high school, and I was pretty upset about it, and I didn't really that's all I wanted to do. But I basically took all that negative stuff that I was feeling at the time, oh, I can't do this, what am I gonna do, what else can I do? Now I manage my high school's football team, so I'm on the field with them during games, I'm with them during practices, and it's not contact. I mean, you do have to be careful with the ball coming towards you, but that doesn't really happen that often. But I would say, just again, be careful, but it's pretty low if you manage a sport, and it's really fun. You can still be involved, still have a team, and I absolutely love it. So I would say, again, what you said, just keep things as normal as possible. You might have to change up some things, but hey, life is full of changes, with a chronic illness, without a chronic illness. And everyone has their battle, which is if I'm having a rough time with something, with my pain or anything like that, it's okay, I have this battle, but someone else has another battle. You just have to remember everyone has a battle, and you just have to figure out ways to cope, and everyone is different. But again, staying busy, normalizing it, finding things to do that are safe for you, big ones.
Yeah, I would add, I think I have a lot of experience in this field because I have a twin brother who's not affected, and he was a big basketball player. He was in the basketball team when I was in junior high school, and I decided I was going to manage. And then we had a boys and girls club team that we made up of our friends that I decided to coach. And it was mostly just because at the end of the day, if you have good friends that you want to hang out with, what you're doing is almost irrelevant, whether you're playing or coaching or doing something that doesn't even involve any physical activity. If you're getting enjoyment from it, and you can find those things that you get enjoyment from, that's the key. And I would also add that there are a lot of things that I did not think I would gain enjoyment from that I've learned that I actually do just by trying some things. So get out there, try some things, do them with your friends. If they fail, great. If you love them, great.
You know, my grandmother always used to say that no one gets to this life alive. We all have stuff we deal with. And so it's what journey we find. I think you're all talking about how you found different things. I know, Peter, you were managing a team as well. You find these different things that you can be a part of, which is great. Would love to actually go around for each of you and hear from you about your experience with how your parents talk to you about your condition, be it VEDS or Loeys-Dietz or Marfan. Perhaps what age you found out about it, and how how they talked about the various aspects of the condition with you. And so I think let's try and go to all four of you. And Cade, I'll start with you on this one, if you don't mind, and just how you learned about it and how your parents talk with you about VEDS.
Well, I would say that they definitely haven't talked to me about it all the time, because I know it's something that kind of limits a lot of things that I can do. So it's not just like, oh, you have this condition, you have to live with it for the rest of your life. It's more of just like, you have it, but we don't want that to take away how we feel about you and what kind of stuff we can do with you. So I would say that when they did talk about me, they did let me know, because I still have a condition. There's a lot of stuff that I have to worry about. So there's definitely a lot of scary stuff that comes with having VEDS, and it's hard to cope with sometimes. Like, maybe you just don't think you can do it anymore. But you always have to remember that it's always the fun stuff that matters, and getting out there, doing stuff with your family is always the best medicine.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. That's really fantastic advice. Alexis.
Okay, so it wasn't anything that like was hidden from me. Like, I knew from like a young age, because I had a lot of surgeries from a young age, and then even becoming like a teenager, I had a lot of surgeries. And so it wasn't ever like, I can't ever remember like a serious like sit down like talk like this is what's going on. But I mean, like, I myself, I'm very like intuitive, and so going to the doctors and stuff and like learning from like those experiences, and then like even talking at home with my parents, like that's how I kind of like, I don't know, was like introduced to all this. And I mean, like, there's been scary times. There's been times where it's been like, ooh, like that was close. But it's definitely like, it's been a journey, but it's been fun. Like, it's been kind of like, I mean, it's weird to say that it's been fun, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's been interesting to kind of like, just kind of see how like this all like, you know, happened. So yeah.
Absolutely. No, I think that's fantastic. Thank you. Grace.
So I was diagnosed when I was 4. So I didn't really have like the big sit down talk of like, hey, you have this thing. But since I was 4, there have been a lot of changes. But just having like talks with my parents about it is actually pretty different, hearing it from my mom's side and my dad's point of view, because my dad is, you know, has it, and he's had like, I don't even know how many open heart surgeries. He's had infections in his heart. Like, my dad is like a survivor, pretty much, like a really, really a big survivor of a lot of things. And so it's different hearing it from him, and it's different hearing it from my mom, because my mom is not affected by it medically. But I would say we've had sit down talks of like, hey, you know, we have this new medicine, or how are you doing? Just like checking in on like how you're feeling. And I have had a surgery. I had my lenses removed in both of my eyes. And I do remember having the sit down talk of, so you're getting surgery in like a month and a half. and it was scary. It was pretty scary. But I would definitely say that I'm very lucky. So, and my parents remind me of that a lot. They're like, you are very, very lucky. While you may have like, I deal with pain and stuff like that, but you know, there are people that have it worse. And that's one of the things you have to look at is like, you're not alone in the fight. And it's easier when I have my dad there who also has it, because again, that's how you know that like you're not alone. That's why I also think it's very important to be connected in the community, just so that you can connect with others and be like, okay, I am not alone. So no matter how hard those talks are, you're not alone. So I would say they vary. The talks vary.
I think that notion of we're not alone, we're not going through this by ourselves, that all three of you have touched on. Sam.
Yeah, I'll just try to keep it pretty quick. It's kind of just an evolving process. What I've experienced, you know, it's not like I guess everybody's mentioned, you don't have the sit down talk, you know, the point in time where everything kind of just flips on its head. For me, it's just, you take every piece of new information, or my parents, I should say, they take every piece of new information, and, you know, they take every new experience, every new doctor visit, and they think about how to apply the information, and, you know, maybe we'll have a quick chat about it, and that's that. You know, the world moves on. We move on with the new information that we gained and we learned from it.
Absolutely. So staying with family, and a question that popped up that I smiled when I read, deals with siblings. I remember my sister at one point stole my back brace and tried to put it on because she was jealous that I got to wear it and she didn't. But I'm curious, I think all of you maybe, or most of you, have siblings. And so just hearing about how your siblings have helped you or how you've helped them. You know, both you dealt with maybe you getting special, the particular person asked about her 10-year-old daughter has VEDS and is getting special attention now, and the two sisters don't always get that. But I'm curious, just any stories or advice you have around siblings, and again, how they've helped you or how you've been able to help them as well.
So I have a younger brother and a younger sister, who are much younger. My brother is a 7-year difference, and my sister is a 9-year difference. And I would say when I was going through my eye surgery, it was pretty difficult just because I couldn't really do anything, especially with eye surgery. Like, you can't walk, like there's only so much that you can do. So I would definitely say just to, especially if you have younger siblings, I mean, older siblings too. If you have siblings in general, just make sure that they know you are okay and you will get through this, and just support them, because if they're, you know, they're a part of the family. They're pretty much your caregiver. They're a part of your caregiver group. So I feel like the whole caregiver side of things in general, parents, family members, whatever, is also very important to look at, which I feel like we'll touch on later. But I remember one time a few years ago, my brother, when he was really little, accidentally took my heart meds. And it was really, really, really scary. So everything was okay. We got him to the hospital and all that just to check. But you also, especially if you have younger siblings, make sure that, and I think Ben touched on that a little bit, is like medical equipment and medical stuff is not something to mess with. And like, yeah, you have siblings, like it's kind of their job to mess with you and stuff like that. Trust me, I get it. I do it with my siblings all the time. But you have to understand that it is medical, and it's very, very, very important. So make sure you have like your own little area for it, and just make it clear to your siblings that like, this is not something we mess around with. Like, this is my medical stuff. Like, don't mess with this. So I feel like just supporting your siblings, they're probably going through a hard time seeing you sick or in pain or anything like that, and let them know that you are okay and you will be okay. But I feel like, again, the awareness with your siblings is really important. So I feel like that's really good.
Great.
Yeah, I also wanted to just say, I have 2 siblings myself. I have a younger brother and a younger sister, and they're insane. They're absolutely crazy. And, you know, I'm totally different. Like, I'm very calm and they're very like rambunctious and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I've been through like, let's see, I've had 2 heart surgeries and they've been around like when both of those took place. And I mean, like, honestly, like it's like good to have siblings because they are, not that this is like a good thing, but they're like cautious. I mean, they're scared for you, but also like they're there to support you as well. So I feel like having them around, it's definitely like, it's easier to go through. And like, I know personally, like there was this one time I, actually it was recently, I broke my foot. And so on to the topic of like messing with medical equipment, my brother, he got a hold of my crutches and he was going around the house with them. And I mean, I was just like, what the heck? Like, what? I can't do anything now. So there's been some definitely interesting times. So
They keep
yeah.
us smiling. They keep us on our toes, right?
Yeah.
Great.
I'll just
Oh yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I'll just add really quickly. As I mentioned, I have a twin brother who's unaffected. If this is something that's applicable to anyone that is listening to us, it may be a good idea to, well, it's definitely a good idea to keep them informed. But in my case, I will admit to enjoying the occasional game of basketball. Don't let my doctors know. It's fine. But
They might be listening.
and obviously, as I mentioned, my brother is a big basketball player. So, occasionally we go play, and he is a good resource to tell me, hey, stop playing. You've been playing for too long. You need to go sit down for, and stop playing for the day. And so that's a good he's a good reality check for me on occasion. So if that's something that's applicable to your situation where a sibling can be a helpful asset in telling you not to fly too close to the sun, then I would do that.
I appreciate it. Yeah, similar to that idea of we're not going through this alone, right? Our siblings can sometimes be one of our best allies in that respect. Are there things you wish your parents would ask you? Is there a question or two that you wish your parents would ask?
I would say this is not a specific to Marfan thing. This is a teenage thing. But we're teenagers and giving you advice, so why not? Ask about their interests. Like when my parents ask about something that I'm very interested in, even if they don't completely understand it, it makes me feel really good that I'm interested in it. Yeah, so if there's something that, like, I joined a team, an esports team at the university that I just started attending less than a month ago. And my parents are like asking me, oh, how's it going? How's this going? And they don't really know much about it, but they know enough that they can ask questions and listen, and I can go on and ramble and feel good about myself. So that always feels good, just as a teenager thing. Or sometimes they want to be left alone, but Catch 22.
Yeah. Okay, Alexis, Grace, any questions you wish your parents would ask you?
I can't really think of any. My parents are pretty like involved, I guess, with my condition and just everything else. So I can't really, I mean, I guess my parents do this a lot, but it's really helpful when they just ask, hey, how are you feeling? Or, hey, how are you doing? Just so that that they can tell if you aren't doing well, they can tell. So you don't really have to, if you're like self-conscious about it, or you don't really want to talk about it until someone else brings it up. Because sometimes that does feel better when that way you don't have to bring up the tough conversation. But my parents will check in throughout the day, just be like, hey, are you feeling okay? Is there anything I can do to help you or whatever? I just feel like that's very important to do.
Yeah, kind of like Grace. I mean, my parents both, they're also pretty involved. So, I mean, kind of like what she said, if, I think your parents, being aware of, you and, how you feel, just them, kind of knowing and checking in every now and then, that's, that's good. But other than that, I mean, they're pretty involved. So, I mean, they know, like, if I need something or, you know, if I want to be left alone.
Great. So we have a couple of parents on the call whose kids have recently been diagnosed and who are wondering what advice the four of you would have on how that they can best support their newly diagnosed kid in this moment.
This one, I've talked to like multiple kids about it because a lot of what I do with Marfan friends, I send care packages to kids who are like recently diagnosed, like you said. And I think it's really, really important. I was not recently diagnosed. Again, I was diagnosed at 4. But I feel like it's, again, awareness. You need to know your body. I used to do gym class at school. I did it freshman year. Well, freshman year was my last year of it. But if I always had to have a good gym teacher, just in case I would push myself or anything like that. And you just have to know your limits, which I feel like is very important to know your limits. So like if you are doing gym class, you know, oh, my heart rate's up too high, or I should really slow down, or maybe this isn't the best idea, and you need to speak up because no one else knows your body better than you do. Your doctor might, but that's a whole other story. And it's just very important to do that and try to get involved with the Marfan community or Loeys-Dietz community or anything like that. Just so that you know, again, you're not alone. And if you do have questions, because I know this call is mainly parents, if you do have questions, you're someone that you can reach out to. So I have like a Marfan email, so you guys can send me stuff through that, or the Marfan Friends website, or just I'm on Facebook, Instagram, all that fun stuff. So if you ever need someone to talk to, again, I'm not recently diagnosed, but I can definitely talk to you, spread some awareness. Again, I have these little things from Eileen. They're little like wallets for the back of your phone or something. And then these are very important. I always have these in my bag. And it has like just random facts about Marfan syndrome, like front and back. But I feel like, again, awareness is very important and know your limits. So I would say those, and don't be ashamed of it. Again, everyone has their own battle. I know sometimes it can be like, you can feel excluded and stuff like that. Trust me, I get it. You're going to have good days. You're going to have bad days, but rely on those good days because there will be good, there will be bad, but the good days are the best ones, obviously.
Yeah, I want to amplify something that Grace, you just said, and I think it's so important, which is, sometimes the kid, people aren't going to want to necessarily talk about it. So what we have to do is create opportunities for people, especially when they're newly diagnosed, to reach out. And I think this community is such a strong resource for that. And even, I say this, parents, even if your kid doesn't want to talk to you about it right now, putting them in a position or giving them the opportunity to both talk about it on their own terms, but also and talk to someone who maybe is going through it directly is really important. I think there's some, I think hopefully over the course of this summit, we're meeting people who can be resources at various stages.
I do want to add something that I just thought of. The Marfan community, Loeys-Dietz community, you know what I mean, is very, very good. And pretty much all my friends know about Marfan syndrome. I just always spread awareness. But it's one thing to have empathy and sympathy, okay? It's a big one. Sympathy, your friends get like, oh yeah, I'm so sorry you're going through this, I'm here for you. But one of my favorite things ever is going to conference, or like Maya Zimmerman, we'll meet her at Hopkins sometimes, like every year or every other year, whatever. And it's just great because that, like, oh my gosh, like someone else gets it, like, whoa. And they completely understand. Like, there's a difference between completely understanding what you're going through and just being there for support, which is, again, great, but it's different. So if you haven't been to a Marfan conference, I would say go. They're amazing. So again,
when we're able to.
yeah,
And it's safe.
But yeah, I think this community is just awesome, and I do reach out to people all the time, and there are different groups on Facebook, I believe, that are like for your state. And someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that there are some that are like specifically for your state. There's like a Michigan one, there's a Virginia one, so you can meet up and talk to people that are in your state that also get it. So you don't have to wait a year for conference. Like, it's great. And we have phones, like use those, connect with others.
And I think that's one of the real value of the world we live in right now is we can be connected. Thinking about pivoting away, from family for a second to our friends, to our peers. Would love to hear again from each of you about how you talk to your friends or your peers about the condition that you have. What tips you may have for either a teen who's thinking about how to talk to their friends about it, or both about the condition, but also what we can and can't do. And so let's maybe hear from everyone on that one again. And Cade, I'm going to start with you on this, about your friends and how you talk to them in your community.
Yeah, so when I talk about the subject of my friends, is that like I have a lot of friends because I know that I'm nice to a lot of people. So there's a lot of connections that I can make to a lot of other people. But one of the things that I'm not really proud of is that most of them don't know I have VEDS, and maybe it should be a life goal for me to at least like tell them, because sometimes I don't want to tell them because who knows, maybe they might not invite me to something that will be really fun, but I know is dangerous for me. So I know I have to weigh between what my safeties are and what I want to do with my friends, but I really wish my friends knew more about my condition, because even though I want to, there's still some part of me that puts safety over living my life, because even though there's definitely that strain of doing stuff while you have the limited conditions such as VEDS, you want to do stuff while you can, because you can't do everything. Like, even when your friends invite you to something, they know you can do it. Like, they wouldn't just invite you to go out skydiving if you never really learn how to breathe up high or something like that. But yeah, I definitely would say talk to your friends about it, maybe a little bit more than you could have, because like even though if you know your friends know about it, there's still a lot of other people that could help you manage that relationship. Not like you need like someone watching over you everywhere you go, but like just some people who know they're there for you. Just like maybe if you're hurt or something, they'll be always the ones watching out for you. And don't get me wrong, my friends will definitely watch out over me, but sometimes you need that extra person to, that guardian angel that looks over that relationship.
Great. Yeah, people don't necessarily know what we need unless we tell them. Sam, Alexis, Grace, anyone want to weigh in briefly on this as well? About talking to your friends or your peers?
I'll jump in. I'll as I try to do, I'll try to keep it brief. For me, in my personal experience, it really doesn't have to be too big of a deal. If you can learn how to talk about what you have, and that's a learning process for everybody. But if you can do that, and you can just find the comfort zone where you can openly talk about it, then you're kind of golden. And honestly, at the teenage level, it's a conversation for, hey, I have X. Oh, okay, cool. Move on, right? Or like, hey, I have X. I can't do this. Is like, oh, okay, understandable. Move on. And then that person can keep that in the back of their mind and be cognizant of you. And if they're unwilling to do that, or they don't actually care, then they're not your friend in the first place. So it's kind of a good little test in general. So yeah, that's my piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that personally, I'm really open with my friends. I kind of just laid it all out on the table, and I was like, "This is it. This is what I have to say. Like, I have this, um, this like disease, and like this is who I am." And they were all like very accepting. Like, it didn't make them think otherwise of me. Like, and I think that if you're able to be open and you're able to be like honest with your friends, then number one, it's probably going to strengthen your friendship with those people. But number two, it's going to like allow them to look out for you. And they're going to be able to recognize, okay, like, I don't know, she's getting tired. She's this, she's that. And they're going to be able to look out for you, and they're going to be able to say, hey, like, do you want to take a break? Do you want to like go sit down? Whether like with whatever activity that you and your friends might like participate in, like, I think that it's good having your friends know so that you don't run into an issue.
Absolutely. Grace or Domingo or Peter? Yeah.
I would say that I manage my school's football team, and I make it clear to the guys, I'm like, okay, like, there's going to be some days that I'm like not as quick as I usually am with like getting waters out on the field or like stuff like that. Because like sometimes, and it's right after school, so you have like a 7-hour day, and then you've got practice for 3 hours. Like, it's really, really tiring, but you got to really, again, awareness. Like, you have to make sure that they know, because if they don't know, then they'll probably just be like, oh, you're okay. But like, you have to make them know that, like, look, I have this condition. That's just how it is.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And, and Domingo and Peter, I don't know if you want to add anything. I'll just say one line, but which is that so often we build this up as something we feel ashamed of. I know I did this, that we need to hide. This is nothing to be ashamed of. This is a part of who we are. It's no more part of this than anything else. And people want to know the full us. Our friends want to know who we are. And this is a part of it. But Domingo or Peter, I don't know if you have anything you want to add. I know this is something that both of you have talked about a lot, thought about a lot.
Oh, yeah. I think, Cade, actually, I can identify a lot with what you were saying earlier in regards to not wanting to tell friends for the possibility of being left out. I experienced that a lot when I was your age. And I think one thing I learned as time went on and as I got more comfortable with my diagnosis, I would slip it into conversations, and then I would let them. I didn't have a big sit down proclamation type moment. It was more let's gradually ease my friends into this explanation of what Marfan syndrome for myself was. And I think something that I also learned was patience on my end with my friends, because they're learning about it just as much as I was, and trying not to get irritated when they go, are you sure you can do this? Are you sure this is okay? And it's very easy to quickly get irritated and be like, I'm not a porcelain doll. But you also have to understand that they're learning just as much as you are. And I think if you see it as an opportunity that you're both learning together, and as long as they're willing to learn with you, it's a really great opportunity to have that support system with you as you're growing and learning.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Especially like I found going to college, not being with my parents, not being, with my family. So it's like, all right, I'm going to live with these people. I'm going to spend 24 hours a day with these people. Someone here should probably know, or these people should probably know, because if they don't know, we're in a lot deeper hole than we should be. So that's how I kind of thought of it, especially in college and in high school, as well, just kind of like what Domingo said, slipping it in and like, kind of like that. So yeah, that's kind
absolutely.
of how I looked at it. Is like,
Well,
hey, why don't you play sports? All right, here's a little
Well.
awareness 101.
Here's that extra info.
So,
I told my now wife about it on our first date about having Marfan syndrome, and she's now been an active volunteer, an active part of this community. And her knowing that extra helped her know more about me. So
sometimes we like her more than you.
Sometimes it's not the word you were looking for there. I've fully come to accept that. So we have about 15 minutes left. There's some great questions on here. So I'm going to try and get as many as I can. So we'll try and keep our answers brief. And thank you for everyone sending in questions. I'm sorry if we're not going to get to all of them. And I just want to tell you, and the four of you just tell again how much we appreciate these insights. It's making a huge impact for people. So thank you. As you've gotten older, how has your medical care transitioned? In other words, how has your family helped you take more control of your own care? So, for example, do you go to the doctor? Are you going to the doctor by yourself, scheduling your own appointments? Or how have you taken more control of your medical care as time has gone on?
I mean, one thing that my mom has done is she's kind of like given a lot of my like for example, I'm on Coumadin, or really warfarin. But anyways, so I have an at-home like tester thing. So when you are on blood thinners, you have to test and see like where your INRs are. And so one thing that my mom has done to kind of like let me take control over my medical care is I test my own INRs. I do the testing, I put it into an app, and then we manage it from there. So that's one thing. And every once in a while, I don't like doing it. I don't know why, but I sometimes call in my prescriptions. I can probably think of like maybe once or twice that I've done it. Not my favorite thing in the world, but that's another thing I've done as well.
This is mainly with like my mental health meds, which also kind of connect with my my medical health. But like if I have a psychiatrist appointment, I'll go, and they're like, okay, do we want to stay the same? Do we want to go up? Do we want to go down? Like, what do you want to do? Right. And it is a medicine, so it is physical at the same time, kind of, depending how you look at it. But I'm usually the one to be like, okay, well, I think we need to go up, or I think we do need to go down, or we're fine. And I do that with my pain meds also, because I have different pain meds that I take. I have like prescribed Aleve and stuff like that. But again, it's like, well, you're the one who knows your body. You're the one that knows your mind. Like, you decide. Like, obviously healthy doses, and the doctor helps me through that. But I have definitely been helping with my med adjustments more.
Yeah, I'd definitely add that growing up, it's like your whole body is growing up with you, and your knowledge about your VEDS, what you have. So it's really important to kind of gauge yourself, because I know that a lot of my friends still think that they can do whatever they want because they haven't, like, they're not 18 yet, so they don't really like take advantage of like the taking care of yourself, controlling yourself. But for people such as VEDS like us, that comes at an earlier stage. Like, we have to have a lot more responsibility for ourselves. We have to like maybe consider going to places as soon as you get your driver's license. Like, there's a lot you have to care for yourself as much as you have to care about your family. Like, sometimes they may not be able to take you everywhere, but that's just something everyone faces. So driver's license, doing stuff on your own, like when I was growing up, I know that when I left so many things behind that I would probably want back even to this day. Like, I would probably eat lunch with other people. Like, it's something that I really enjoyed doing, and there's so many good relationships that came out of that. But because now I have such a strict plan, like what I have to do every step of the day, it just didn't make sense to continue doing that. Like, I can still hang out with them after school, like I'm not just isolating myself from everyone else, but it's definitely something like everyone wants to eat each other. So it's not something that I take very lightly, but it's something that I had to move on with because it was affecting how I performed that day. So there's a lot of sacrifices you have to make that other people don't. And I think finding out which important ones will still, again, making you happy is the best thing about it. So there's definitely a lot of decisions when it comes to that. But for us, it's probably the hardest job that we have, like trying to leave our best thing behind just for our own safety.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. And you know, Sam, as we think about this question, and but maybe taking it one step further as we continue to grow up and think about college.
Sure.
I know you're there, obviously, well, at home now, but you know, there under normal circumstances. But for you and also Dominga and Peter, but really, or anyone, have you thought about transitioning your care, your conditioning away from living at home to going to college? And what obstacles do you see to that part of your life, and how have you overcome those?
Sure. So for me, I guess one of the key things would be just have an understanding of what resources are available to you wherever you're going to be, right? Like, for instance, if I were in normal circumstances right now, I'd be attending the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. And thankfully, they have a really good hospital system there. So if anything were to go awry, I know I can lean back on that in the case of emergency. In terms of transitioning doctors, that's kind of an ongoing process that I've been going through. I go up to Chicago, to Lurie Children's right now. And, you know, I've started having these conversations with my pediatric cardiologist, working through how the transition is going to work. Additionally, at some point in the coming years, I'm going to have heart surgery. So there's kind of that transition plus, how do we hand off with the surgery that's going to be going on? And I think the key to all that is just communicating with your doctors, having expectations that you're setting, and if they change, you know, you can adapt. But in the end, you have to have some sort of idea. You can't just go into this and then say, I guess I need to change now. You really need to start a transition process and really communicate.
Briefly, Dominga or Peter, anything you want to add there from your experiences?
I definitely want to agree wholeheartedly with what Sam was saying in regards to knowing your resources wherever you do decide to attend college, particularly for my mother's sanity. I made sure that when I was picking out a college, I was definitely close to great medical care. And so she would have the peace of mind, especially with me not being close to home. I think also that transition is really important to understand that you know your body the best, and your teen knows their body the best. And so encouraging communication with, and it doesn't necessarily, understanding that communication doesn't necessarily have to be with you as a parent, but it definitely needs to be there with their doctors, and they need to be able to have that conversation with their doctors and feel comfortable. And if that means taking a great thing that my mom did was she would step out of the room. She would step out of the room when I was at my appointments. As I was getting older, she would really just give me that opportunity to be candid with my doctor and talk about things that I may not have wanted to talk about with her, which I know for her was nerve-wracking, but she definitely gave me that opportunity to really have a good relationship with my doctor and feel comfortable and safe.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I agree with Dominga and Sam. Like, you find a good system. You know, that's how I ended up deciding between. I had 1A and 1B for colleges, and I ended up deciding, like, all right, well, it came down to where do emergency cases go from these hospitals? And at the college I ended up going to, the hospital to send people to was the one where I was getting treated anyway. So that's how it kind of played. But definitely, I agree. Transitioning into college, trust your teen to trust themselves and trust their own body, because that's going to be key in them being able to truthfully go through that transition into adult care. Because if they can't trust their own body and they don't understand their body enough, they can't honestly tell their doctor what's wrong. if something is wrong.
I think that's right, and I think this is a great opportunity as well to connect with kids, with people with Marfan and Loeys-Dietz VEDS who have gone off to college, and talk to peers as well. We're pushing it, but we're going to get a couple more in here. So thank you all for hanging in with us. I want to ask you each about pain, both chronic pain, but also mental health. And so I'm going to combine two questions sort of into one here, and I would love to get your take. And for everyone on the call, we are going to go a few minutes past 1 o'clock. I think you'll agree it's well worth it to hear from these four amazing people. Plus Peter and Domingo are here too. So would love to hear any tips you have for dealing with chronic pain. And also if anyone has gone to see a professional therapist, and if that's been helpful to you. So either or both part of those questions. And again, I'm just going to ask you all to keep your answers brief because we are pushing up against time. Sorry.
I deal with both anxiety, depression, probably some PTSD in there from like my dad's medical stuff. I deal with, on the mental health side of things, I am a caregiver also, again, for my father, who's had so many big surgeries, emergency, non-emergency, but serious stuff. And I would like to point out, my mom is actually doing the caregiver thing in a week or so, or whenever that is. And I feel like it's really important to also make sure that your caregivers are taken care of. And that's a big part of my mental health, is like, you have to look at the plus side of it. Like my dad did get through it. And I see a therapist, I see a psychiatrist, all that stuff. And I deal with chronic pain, so I can touch on both parts of that. Chronic pain, again, I'm not a doctor, but what I do is I take meds sometimes, like pain meds or anti-inflammatories for my costochondritis. There's like certain stretches that you can do. I know one of my doctors, Gretchen, who I think is on this call, there's like the door frame stretch or something, where like you have both hands on the door, or you have like your feet against the wall and you just like move around a little bit, just like loosen everything up and just, feel a little better. Napping is great, but you don't want to be in bed all day because that's very unproductive and that'll make you probably in more pain and just more sad. And heating pads are great. Like if you have pain anywhere, just putting heat and cold helps too, I've heard. So, I mean, again, everyone deals with it differently. That's how I deal with it. So yeah.
That's great, Grace. That's a lot of great tips. Thank you. Anyone else want to touch on this? Yeah.
I'll jump in. As Grace said, absolutely, mental health is an incredibly important part of having a chronic condition, in my opinion. I think we're taking care of ourselves so much physically with such amazing doctors at our disposal, as you may have experienced through this summit. But we take a lot of great care and time and energy into taking care of our physical selves, and that can take a toll on ourselves mentally. So I would say encouraging your teens to take that time for themselves to acknowledge that this is something that can really get in your head, and anxiety is normal. All of these feelings that you get with having a chronic condition is quote unquote normal, and having that opportunity to, if they need to, talk to someone about it, whether that be a counselor or a therapist or a friend, encouraging them to talk about it, encouraging teens to talk about it is extremely important, because without that outlet, it can start to take a toll. The mental health can start to take a toll on you physically. And so encouraging your teens and encouraging your family to really have that chance to take a look at that is very important.
Absolutely. Great. One more question, just and I think it ties into something, Grace, I think you said towards the beginning, but around support system. And so there we do have a teen council, and so somebody's actually asking to talk a little bit about the teen council and maybe what opportunities we have coming up and for people. So certainly, I know Peter, I'm sure you're itching to jump at that. And I just want to say again, before Peter, I let you go, is to just say again, thank you to Cade, to Grace, to Sam, to Alexis, for taking this time, for sharing your insights. I want to share something that somebody on the put into the question section, which is that she's the mom of a toddler with Marfan, and that you guys give her so much hope for her son's future. And I can tell you, as somebody who's slightly older than a toddler with Marfan, although sometimes still acts like one, you all give me so much hope for the future. And to the parents on this call and other teens who are living with Marfan syndrome or Loeys-Dietz VEDS related condition, you all are not alone. None of you are going through this alone. You have people who are ready to walk side by side, who won't tell you what you need, but will listen to you and help be your guide as we navigate this crazy journey of life. So thank you for taking the time, for standing up and being a part of this. Again, thank you to the four of you. With that, Peter, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about what we have, where the different avenues are for people to get engaged. And again,
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you all very much for being here.
Ben, you made me tear up. Thanks for that.
I made myself tear up too. I do that occasionally.
Very humble.
I have to come after that. Thanks, Ben. Yeah, so the team council, I also chair the team council. Forgot to mention that earlier. And Sam is currently on it. Grace has been up before. And what it is it helps plan the team portion of the team conference and also does some awareness stuff outside of that. So we work on that. We do a lot of that. And given the current times, we've done, without having a conference, we had team talk, team game night, which actually we'll have one tomorrow night. Monday night. Got ahead of myself. And then, there is some other activities planned for the pipeline for this fall and winter. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. I second what everyone said. I definitely think getting involved, whether it be through various Facebook groups. I know there's also a teen-only Facebook group that is moderated by myself and a few other adults from the foundation, where teens can go ask questions and do stuff like that, and talk and meet one another. So I definitely encourage your teens to get involved, especially to help meet someone, so you don't feel alone. And yeah, that's what I got.
One last thing. Marfan Friends is also a very good support group. So if you want to look that up, the website is www.marfanfriends.webs.com. And there's all your information.
Okay, great. Thank you, Grace. And jumping off of what Peter was saying, our teen program is growing immensely as time goes on, and especially in times like this with COVID, we're trying to make sure that we provide a lot of virtual resources. And so Eileen shared the link to both our teen game night and teen talk that we have coming up in the next few weeks. Teen game night is this coming Monday, so make sure you have your teens register. We'll be playing a lot of fun games via the Jackbox game series, which will be really fun. And then the following session that we have will be a teen talk, kind of like this, just without being broadcast to 2,500 people. It's a lot less formal, but it's a really great opportunity for your teens to come together and just to be teens. They don't have to be teens with a chronic condition. They can just be teens. And it's a really great opportunity. So I want to take the opportunity to thank our amazing panelists and our moderator, and Peter. So Sam, Alexis, Cade, Grace, thank you for all of your insight and your advice. Ben, thank you for keeping this train rolling. And Peter, thank you for all that you do as well. Just for everyone that's still here, make sure that you go just below the window of this session. There's a little rate session button. Make sure you rate this session and let our teams know how fabulous they were, and that'll be amazing. Also, just make sure to enjoy the rest of your time with the E3 Summit. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to put them in this session Q&A, and we will try to get back to you with answers. Or you can ask questions through our website, marfan.org/E3ask. And be patient with that one, because there's a large volume of questions and we're trying to get to them as soon as possible. Also, if you want to share any of your experiences today and on social media, make sure to use the hashtag E3Summit20. And we will be looking forward to seeing everyone's memories and shares on social media. So I'm immensely honored to have spent this time with all of you. It's amazing as a teen myself growing up in this group. It's amazing to see all of you, because you guys are all just wonderful people, and I'm not going to start tearing up because that's not helpful whatsoever. So again, thank you everyone for your time, and just another huge thank you to our presenters and panelists, and we are looking forward to seeing you all very soon. Goodbye, everyone.
Marfan strong.
Bye.